Yes, Prabhu. I'll just introduce you to everyone, and then after that we can start.
Okay.
Just a minute, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu. Okay. So, Hare Krishna, everybody. Welcome to this Kids Japa workshop. And I'm very, very grateful to His Grace Mahatma Prabhu for having kindly accepted and come here to enlighten all of us regarding the importance of chanting. We all know about the importance of chanting. Prabhu will tell us how we can chant well and how we can improve the quality of chanting. Ultimately, to chant the holy name purely, that's the goal of our life. So Prabhu will enlighten us about that. I'll just introduce His Grace Mahatma Prabhu to all of you. I'm just reading out a short introduction. Mahatma Prabhu was born in Los Angeles, California in 1950. In 1969, at the age of 19, he first met Srila Prabhupada through the Bhagavad Gita as it is. And then later that year, met Srila Prabhupada personally in Los Angeles. In January of 1970, he moved into the temple in Berkeley, California, and shortly after received first and second initiation. He went on to do a variety of services, including book distribution, being a Sankirtan leader, temple president, college preaching, congregational development, and various educational projects also. This has culminated in the work he does today, developing workshops, social media, online courses, and books, both for devotees as well as the general public through his company, Sattva. He practically shows the many ways that Krishna consciousness offers solutions to today's challenges and writes and teaches in a way that resonates with devotees and people in general by helping them see life as a spiritual practice. Mahatma Prabhu is well known in ISKCON for his recorded and live music, most notably his recording of Brahma Samhita, but also for his workshops on such essential topics as Japa, forgiveness, humility, vows, and marriage. He's now based in Alachua, Florida. He lives with his wife, Janava Mataji, and daughter, Brajasundari Mataji, and travels about 4 months a year. If you're interested in hearing more from Mahatma Prabhu, he has a YouTube channel, and his website is mahatmadas.com. So you can also contact Prabhu through that. Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Over to you, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
I wish I only traveled 4 months a year. It's more like, right now it's more like 10 months.
Oh, is it? Okay.
If any of you are in Bangalore, I will see you. Any of you go to Vrindavan or Mayapur, I will see you in February.
Jai.
Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvise Sasanyavare Paschati Dasatari. So I wanted to thank, first, I'd like to thank all of you for coming. Thank all of you for trying to improve your japa, taking the time to focus on improving your japa is very, very important, and it's also very, very good for you. And one thing that I have seen, and I think all adults have seen, and it's that whatever you do when you're young, it becomes something which you naturally or more easily can do when you're older. Just like if you learn to ride a bicycle when you're young, even if you don't ride a bike when you're older, if someday there's an opportunity to ride a bicycle, you know how to do it because you did it when you're young. Or you're learning English, you have your first language, maybe it's Hindi or Tamil or whatever. So once you learn it, you'll always know it through your whole life. So in the same way, if we learn how to chant Japa well when we're young, then when we're older, it's going to be easier. It's going to be more natural. And this is very interesting. You may not know this, but many, many devotees, when they first start chanting, are not given much instruction about how to chant. We're given our beads and we're shown, well, chant on this bead, then you go to the next bead, don't chant on the head bead, and try to hear the mantra and hear the 10 offenses. And that's all most devotees learn. And later on in life, when the devotees learn ways they can improve their chanting, they always say, I wish I would have learned this when I first started chanting. I didn't know. There's so many things that I didn't know. So today we're going to try to teach you some things, which I also didn't know when I first started chanting, but I learned over the years. And I also wish what I'm teaching you, I would have known when I started chanting. So we're trying to give you an opportunity. So now that you're younger, you can develop proper mood and good japa habits. And so when you're older, it's going to be easier. So does that make sense to all of you? Yes? You can put your hand, like you go, yeah, you know where the hands are? You know where your hands? Where are the hands? In the more section? Click more. Yeah, okay. All right, so I want to start. Thank you. Yes, you all understand. That's good. Okay. I want to start with a slide. Okay. I'm going to share my screen. And this slide says, are you chanting or are you actually chanting? So what does that mean? Are you chanting or are you actually chanting? You see this picture of this devotee? Inside his bead bag is his phone, and he's on Facebook. Can you see that? Yes? So he's chanting and he's looking at Facebook. And below you have Takaharidas. You see Takaharidas? He's not on Facebook. Of course, Facebook didn't exist during that time. But if it did, he wouldn't be on Facebook. What is Takaharidas doing? You see that picture? He's just chanting. He's just focused. He's not doing anything else. So I'm going to write something in the chant. And this is an affirmation. And I'd like you all to say it. You keep your speaker off. But you can just say it to yourself. When I chant, I chant. And just say that and I'll explain that, what it means. You go to your chant, you'll see that. When I chant, I chant. Yeah, so everybody say it. When I chant, I chant. Okay, very good. All right. Yes. And if you have a pen and paper or a tablet or a phone, please write this down. This is important. When I chant, I chant. You write it down, and I'm going to explain what it means. You may already understand what it means. Okay. So it's something like this. Let's say you're studying, you're doing homework. Please. Okay, yeah. So.
Sorry, Prabhu. I muted everybody.
Yeah. Okay, good. So let's say you're doing your homework. And while you're doing your homework, you look at your phone. While you're doing your homework, you get up and you do something else. Go back to your homework. Then you get up and eat something. And you eat a little snack and you go back to your homework. And then you get up and you change your clothes. And you go back to your homework. And then you get up and you go outside. So you're not really doing your homework. You're doing your homework, but you're doing other things at the same time. So we could say, when I do my homework, I do my homework, which would mean when I do my homework, I just focus on that. I don't do these other things. And I don't call, not on the phone, then back to my homework. I'm not going here, doing this and that. So when I chant means when I'm chanting, that's all I'm doing. I'm not doing anything else. I'm not looking at other things. I'm not thinking about other things. I'm not doing other things. And probably the hardest thing is to not be thinking about doing other things. Sometimes you can chant and not do other things, but you're thinking about doing other things. So it's both. So when I chant means I'm not doing anything else. I'm just chanting. I'm not talking to somebody and chanting. And internally, in my mind, I'm not thinking about doing other things. I'm just thinking about chanting. So that's where we're going to start. And I want to show you something which is quite funny. You're going to like this. We did a little comic, and it's called 32 Ways Not to Chant. Okay, so we're going to, instead of teaching you how to chant, I'm going to first teach you how not to chant, because I think everything in this, what I'm going to show you, these cartoons, everything or many things are mistakes we all have made. Not just you as children, but even adults make these mistakes. So are you ready? You want to see this? It's quite funny. I think you're going to like it. So I'm going to share my screen. Yeah, here it is. This is called 32 Ways Not to Chant Japa. Okay. This is the first one. This is called to-do list japa. To-do list means, well, I'm not going to read it. You may not understand it. It's all written to be funny. So we'll just do it like this. You can just see this. All right. So this devotee is chanting. And what's he thinking about? He's thinking about all the things he has to do today. So he's not a kid, he's older. So he's thinking about business and money and bills to pay and like that. You might be thinking about school or some vacation you're going to take when you have a break, or what you're going to eat for breakfast. So many things. To-do list means all the things you have to do today. And a lot of devotees, when they're chanting japa, instead of meditating on Krishna, they're thinking of that. Have you ever done that before? Thought of what you have to do during the day? You can raise your hand. You don't have to raise a digital hand. Well, yeah, I guess you have to, because I can't see it otherwise. Yeah. I think every devotee has done that, for sure. We have 80 participants. We should have 80 hands go up. Every one of us has done that, for sure. Okay, so we're going to go to the next one. The next one is called I Hate Him, Japa. So what does this mean, I hate him? Sometimes, I'm exaggerating. We really don't hate anybody. But sometimes somebody says something to us and it hurts us and it disturbs us. And sometimes we're so upset that during japa, we're thinking about what that person said. And we're thinking, I hate that person. Not that we hate them, but sometimes we speak that way, right? I hate them. They hurt my feelings. How could they say that? That was so bad what they said. And so while we're chanting, instead of focusing on Krishna, we're focusing on this person who did something or said something to hurt us. So that's what it means, I hate him, Japa. Sometimes we feel like, sometimes we say, I hate him. We don't really hate him. We hate what they did, and it disturbs us. Okay. We have 32 of these. We've only gone through 2. I better go faster. Right? The next one, I am right, Japa. Have you ever been in an argument where you wanted to be right no matter what? You just had to be right. I am right. And sometimes you could be chanting japa and thinking, oh, that other person was so wrong, I'm so right. And the more you chant, the more right you think you are. And the whole time you're chanting, you're thinking, how right I am and how wrong they were. It happens. I don't know if this happened to you, but I think it happens to some of us. Okay, the next one. But you see, what am I thinking? I'm thinking how right I am. I'm not thinking of the holy name. Okay, the next one. Watering the weeds, Japa. This is interesting. There's a proper way to chant, and we're going to teach you. And you may have heard this example that devotional service or bhakti is like a creeper, a little sprout of a plant, and chanting is watering the plant. And around the plant, there's weeds that grow, and the weeds are things which are opposed or against, or that don't help devotional service. So Prabhupada's spiritual master, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, said, if we don't chant properly, we could water the weeds around the bhakti creeper instead of watering the creeper. So that means we're chanting, but we're not really chanting. We maybe don't want to chant. Maybe we're making offenses to the holy name. So we have to be careful, because we could be watering the weeds, the things we don't want. Okay. Beat the clock, Japa. So this japa chanter is chanted 16 rounds in 50 minutes, which of course is not possible for any human. You can't speak that fast. He's red hot. You see the smoke coming out of his bead bag? Looks like he's got 3 bead bags there. So beat the clock japa means we try to chant so fast just to finish our rounds. Oh, I have to chant this number of rounds. Let me chant as fast as I can. Like that. So the goal of japa is not to finish our rounds in 4 minutes or something. The goal of japa is to connect with Krishna. The goal of japa is to not get our rounds done. It's to relish and connect with Krishna. So that's called beat the clock japa. You're just chanting just to get it done. Okay. I'm sure you may have done that before. This is called robot japa. All right. Sometimes Prabhupada said, if you're not chanting with your heart, if you're not chanting with devotion, then your chanting is mechanical. In other words, your mind is somewhere else and you're chanting and your heart is not engaged. You're not praying to the holy name. You're not praying to Krishna. You're just chanting and your mind is going everywhere except on the holy name. So it becomes a little like a robot, it's like a little mechanical. You're not really thinking about Krishna or thinking about the holy name. You're just chanting to get it done. So that's called robot japa. And if you've done any of these kinds of japa, you should make a note of it so you can improve in that area. Okay, the next one is called firing blank mantra japa. So what does that mean? Firing blank mantras. Well, the holy name means Krishna, I want to serve you. Krishna, I want to love you. Krishna, I want to come closer to you. That's what the holy name means. But sometimes when we're chanting, we're not thinking about what the holy name means. We're just chanting. And so we're kind of doing mechanical chanting, going through the motions, but the heart is not feeling and praying to the holy name. So what comes out of our mouth, although it sounds like the Hare Krishna mantra, if the heart's not engaged, it's sometimes said that the mantra that's coming out of your mouth is like a blank bullet. A blank bullet is a gun makes a noise, but there's no bullet. It just goes, but there's no bullet. So we have to engage our hearts when we chant. And then that sound we make represents what's in our heart, our desire to be Krishna conscious. And then that mantra, that is the pure Mahamantra. Okay. This is called killing time japa. The saying killing time, I don't know if you use that expression in India. You use that expression? We have some time to kill. Yeah, killing time means like you're supposed to, let's say you're supposed to be somewhere and you think you're supposed to be there at 2 and you get there at 2 and you find out the program doesn't start till 4. So we say, oh, we have 2 hours to kill. Now we have 2 free hours, right? So sometimes devotees, when they chant, they have trouble listening to the mantra. It's really sometimes hard to control the mind. So they start thinking about other things, kind of get them through chanting, thinking of things maybe not related to chanting. So we have some time here, 2 hours. I chant for 2 hours, 16 rounds. So time to kill means I can chant and think about other things and get my rounds done. It's not the way to chant. It's not like you just chant, put that on automatic and do something else, think something else. Go clean your room, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. I think we have one. With your left hand, you're cleaning, and your right hand, you're chanting. It's not like that. This is called creative japa. I bet some of you have done this. Creative japa means you're chanting and you're thinking about all kinds of things you could do. I could draw this picture. I could write this song. I could do this service. I could organize. I could do this or that. So you're you're being very creative during japa. So you're thinking about all the things you can do, but you're not thinking about chanting. Any of you ever done that? Creative japa is for many people, that's a real problem. Maybe you're in a play, or you're going to do a dance, or you're going to do a kirtan, and while you're chanting, you're thinking how you're going to do it. So when I chant, I chant. So I should just be thinking about the holy name, not about other services. This is called Novocaine japa. Novocaine is what you get at the dentist. I don't know if you call it Novocaine in India, or maybe you have another name. It numbs it so you don't feel any pain. What do you call it? You have another drug? Because different countries, drugs have different names. This is what in America, when you go to the dentist, they give you a shot, and then everything in your mouth where they shot becomes numb, and then they drill into your teeth, you don't feel anything. So this devotee, he's chanting, but he's not feeling anything. He's just chanting, like nothing. And chanting is a prayer. When you're chanting, you're supposed to be praying to Krishna, Krishna, please help me become a pure devotee. This devotee's chanting, and he's not feeling that at all. There's nothing in his heart. His heart is just shut down. And just chanting, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. That's what we got. These are kind of jokes we made up, but we've seen all these kinds of chanting over the years. Now, this is a common one, driving japa. It's hard enough to drive in India when you're not chanting japa. What to speak of when you're chanting japa? So most of you kids, you don't have this problem because you don't drive, right? But when you're older, you will drive. And so, but you could call it driving japa. We could have put a bicycle here also. The idea is when you chant, you have to focus on the chanting, and when you're driving, you have to focus on the driving. So how can you focus on the chanting if you're focusing on the driving, right? I mean, if you're driving in the middle of nowhere and there's no people, that's different. But usually in India, most places, there's lots of traffic, and you have to focus on squeezing between two cars where there's no space, right? You have to be mentally creating space in your mind so you can drive like this and that. And I can't see how you could chant japa driving in a city in India. It doesn't seem possible. You wouldn't be able to concentrate. Yeah. So that's the idea, and anything that you have to do, where you have to concentrate on doing that, that's not the time for chanting, because you need to concentrate on your japa, not on what you're doing. Okay. This is called no japa japa. Now, I don't know if any of you have experience of this. So what is no japa japa? This is really interesting. You kids, I don't know, maybe you kids have done this. So two devotees, this is no japa japa. It's really funny. I have to show you. You're talking to a devotee, right? And you have your hands in your beads. And says, hey, Prabhu, how are you? I haven't seen you in a long time. What have you been doing? And then the devotee starts talking to you, and while he's talking, your beads are moving. You're not even chanting, your beads are moving. And then you talk back and he talks, and your beads are moving because you're so used to moving your beads. And you're having a conversation and your beads are moving. And you haven't chanted at all. At the end of the conversation, your hand's all the way over here. You're like, oh, I just finished a round. How did I do that? Adi Dave, you ever done that before? It's really interesting. You're just talking, but you're so used to moving your beads because you want to chant your rounds that you move your beads while you're talking, but you're not chanting. That's called no japa japa. some of you kids have probably not experienced this, but if you remember all these, when you're older, you may realize, oh, I'm starting to do that. Mahatma Prabhu was talking about that. I didn't know what it was, and now I'm doing it. I'm not saying you'll do all of these, but some of these you probably have done, and some of them you probably will do. Okay, this is called reading japa. So what's wrong with reading japa? Well, if you have two heads, there's nothing wrong with reading japa because one head can read and one head can chant. But if you only have one head, so far I haven't seen anybody with two heads. Raise your hand if you have two heads. It looks like no one has two heads. So you either have to read or you have to chant, but not both. So you can't, if you focus on reading and chanting, your concentration is on reading, not on chanting. Chanting is in the background. So we want to be able to focus on our chanting, which is why we don't read while we chant. We either chant or read, but not both, unless you have two heads. Without two heads, you do one or the other. Okay, left hand japa. This is one of my favorites. What is left hand japa? Can you imagine what left hand japa is? Right? You have left hand japa is, you have your beads in your right hand. Here's my right hand. And the left hand, you have a big wooden spoon and you're cooking sweet rice. You ever seen that? Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Right? Or you're dusting or cleaning with your left hand, sweeping the floor, whatever. You're doing something with your left hand while you're chanting japa. That's called left hand japa. One devotee, he's a comedian, and he said, you know, ever since I started chanting japa, my left arm became much stronger because of all the things I did with my left arm while I was chanting. So when you're chanting, your left arm is not supposed to do anything. You're just supposed to chant. Does that make sense to all of you? Like we're talking about when you chant, you're not doing anything else. You're not on the computer, one hand in my bag, one hand on the computer, one hand on my bag, one hand on my phone. No, not good. Okay, let's see what other mistakes. These are mistakes we've seen devotees made, and we're giving you warning that don't make these mistakes. This is called bubblegum japa. So what is bubblegum japa? It's not chewing bubblegum while you chant. It's chanting and you sound like you're chewing bubblegum. So you're not pronouncing properly. You're chanting and you're not conscious of what you're chanting. And you're not really chanting anymore the Hare Krishna mantra. You're chanting something like, sounds like someone who's talking and chewing gum. Has any of you ever done that before? Kanishka, have you ever done that? Shriram, you ever heard anybody? Today we're on a japa walk. We were on a japa walk. And the devotee, instead of saying Hare Rama, he was saying Hare Yama, Hare Yam, Yam, Yam. Let's go, wow, you really must like to chant. It's really, you think the holy name is really yummy. Hare Rama, Hare Yam, 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 Hare Hare. So sometimes when we're not listening to our chanting, we're coming up with different mantras. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Hare. You know, all kinds of, if you're not focusing, you're either mispronouncing the mantra or you're kind of making up a new one. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Yeah. Some devotees are Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Like, Prabhu, how long does it take you to chant 16 rounds? Oh, 45 minutes. Yeah, because he chants 1/3 of the mantra. So, you know, if anyone tells you they're finishing their rounds in 45 minutes, it's not possible unless they're either, yeah, there's another way. It's called skipping your beads. There's another way you could chant 16 rounds of 45 minutes. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Yeah, you get like 4 beads for every mantra. Yeah, then you could do 45 minutes. So that's just a warning. If it takes you like, if even 5 minutes around is really fast, but under 5 minutes, if you're chanting under 5 minutes, I think you're doing something wrong. You may be missing the whole mantra or not pronouncing it properly. Generally, that's 5 minutes is super fast. Oh, here's another mantra. So this was, last one was bubblegum mantra. And this is here kitty kitty mantra. So we call this, well, no, we call it new mantra japa. You made up a mantra. Here kitty kitty ram ram ram, here kitty kitty ram ram ram. And then you see there's 3 characters here. That's Adi. Who is it? Wam. It's Wam, Adi, and who else? We'll say it's Wam and Adi's mother. So, and this devotee they're showed up, and this devotee is scared. And who are they? And he's dying, and they showed up. Wam and Adi's mother Adi. And the devotee says, "Why are you showing up?" And they say, "Well, your whole life you were chanting Adi, Wam, Wam, Adi, 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 Wam, Wam, Adi, Adi. So we're the Wam and Adi Dudas, and we've come to take you to Wam Adi Loka." Hare Krishna. What do you think? You don't want to go there, do you?
No, Prabhu.
And when you go to that planet, everybody's chanting Hari Wam 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 Hari 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 Ram Wam Wam Hari 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 Krishna. Kitty kitty. Maybe we could call one kitty. Hari kitty 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 Wam Wam Hari 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 kitty kitty. Kish. No, Kish. Kish. No, I remember the story. One of his name is Kish. One is Wam and one is Adi. Hari Kish Kish Krishna Wam Wam Hari Hari Kish Kish Krishna Wam Wam Hari Hari. There they are. They're going to take you to Kish Wam Adi Loka after you die. You don't want to go there. Because when you go to that planet, everyone's chanting Kish Kish Wam Wam Adi Adi Kish Kish Wam Wam Adi Adi. Yeah. Not fun. Better chant properly and go back to Godhead. Okay. Entertainment japa. What's this devotee doing? Looks like he's watching a movie. What do you think? He's on Netflix or whatever you have in India. He's watching a movie. Now, you may think, well, Prabhuji, can I watch a movie of Krishna? When you chant japa, just chant japa. Just focus. Focus your mind, your heart, your ear, everything on chanting. Okay. This is internet japa. You're chanting japa and you're on your phone or your tablet or your computer. Do you know there are 10 offenses? But I have found out that there are 11 offenses. You want to know the 11th offense? The 11th offense is to be on the internet while you're chanting. And the reason that wasn't written in the original 10 offenses, in Padma Purana, the 10 offenses, but the reason the Padma Purana didn't write it, because there was no internet when it wrote it. But if there was internet, then they would have said, and the 11th offense is to be on the internet while you're chanting japa. So you gotta, when you chant japa, you turn everything off. Okay? If you have a phone, a tablet, a computer, when you chant japa, turn it off. And if you can't turn it off, lock it in a safe and throw the key away. You just don't want to be online when that happens. Okay. Okay, 11th offense. The 11th offense, to be on the internet while you chant. Okay. Window shopping japa. Right. You go to a mall, you walk down the street, instead of focusing on the Maha Mantra, you're looking at clothes and shoes and phones or whatever. Any of you ever done that? Window shopping japa? I have some rounds to chant. We're walking down the street. See, then you're distracted. Okay. Sometimes I have to do window shopping japa when I travel, because now I don't try to do it, but now at the airports, I don't know if you know this, but now most of the airports around the world have turned into shopping malls. So when you're going to your gate, these bigger airports, you go through, like you pass by shop after shop after shop. I was in Amsterdam, in Europe, or I was in one airport somewhere, and it was as big, the shopping part of the airport was as big as any mall I've ever been in. So I'm walking to my gate trying to chant my rounds, then I'm walking by all these stores. So sometimes I'm forced to do window shopping japa, even I don't want to. Airports are not good places for japa. Okay, the next one. Boredom japa. I'm chanting and I'm just bored. I don't want to be chanting. I want to do something else. Chanting is a prayer to Krishna. You know, chanting is a conversation with Krishna. Did you know that? It's like you're talking to Krishna. You're telling Krishna what you want. Please, Krishna, help me. Please give me devotion. So it's very sweet. But sometimes we get bored because we forget we're talking to Krishna. We stop praying. And then we become the robot, and the robot japa is boring. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. I don't want to do this. This isn't fun. Krishna Krishna. No, there's a sweetness. There's a sweetness in chanting if you do it properly. But you have to do it right. And so we'll try to help you today. Do it right. Okay. Relaxing japa. Any of you ever done this? Lay down and chant. This is the hour of truth now, where we admit. Yeah. So you could imagine the best way to chant is to sit up straight, right? You wouldn't see a picture of a yogi chanting Om laying down like this, would you? I've never seen. Have you? The process is to sit straight. It's in the Bhagavad Gita. Sit straight. Have any of you heard that japa tape? In the middle of the japa tape, Prabhupada said, sit properly. Have you heard that before? There's we have recordings of Prabhupada chanting japa. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. You must have heard those recordings, right? There's one recording, and Prabhupada devotee's not sitting properly. As Prabhupada said, sit properly, like sit up straight. Slumber japa. No. Have you ever fallen asleep while you're chanting japa? I have a joke. You want to hear my joke? You're chanting with another devotee next to you, and you're tired. And you say, Prabhu, wake me up when I finish my rounds. And you go to sleep. Have you ever seen that? Somebody sleeping during japa? Yeah. So it's not really good, Could you imagine you're doing puja and you fell asleep? Could you imagine you went back to Godhead and there's Krishna and he comes to embrace you, and while he's embracing you, you fall asleep? I don't think that's a good idea, right? So, yeah, we want to respect the holy name when we chant. So this one is quite common, slumber japa. This is called bitter japa. There's boredom japa and bitter japa. So this is, boredom is nothing. Bitter japa is like painful. Oh, it's painful to chant. I don't want to chant. I have no taste. If we learn how to chant properly, we will like to chant. And if we chant improperly, it can sometimes be bitter, difficult. And I will explain why. Because Krishna is in his name. But if we don't chant properly, then we're not experiencing Krishna in his name. And therefore, it just becomes a sound, not Krishna. And then it becomes bitter or boring. Okay. Painful japa. Yeah. So we went from boring to bitter to painful. This is painful. I can't. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So painful. Have you ever chanted, it's so painful, you put your beads down? I can't do it anymore. This is too difficult. It hurts too much. You ever done that? You haven't finished your rounds and you just put your bead back. I can't do this. I have to eat something. This is too painful. Sometimes that happens. These are signs. This is what happens when we don't chant well. Okay. Shaking japa. Okay. You have that? You ever seen those little monkeys? You have them? You wind them up and then you have those? When I was a kid, we had them. They play cymbals like the devotees. You wind them up and so sometimes the devotees chanting japa and they're it's very difficult to concentrate if your body is moving like that. So generally when we chant, we try to sit still. When you're younger, it's harder to sit still than when you're older, because when you're younger, you have more energy. And your energy wants to like get up and do something, and to just sit is difficult. You can walk, but we have found, and Shastra tells us that if we're moving around like this, it's really hard to control the mind, because the mind is affected by the movements of the body. So if you can sit peacefully at least a little bit, you can try it. That's helpful. Or you can walk peacefully. And radar japa. Okay. Radar japa. You know what radar japa is? Should I demonstrate it? Okay, I'm going to demonstrate it to all of you. But I have to move this view so I see myself. So this is radar japa. So I'm chanting. See? Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram. You understand what I'm doing? I'm examining everything around me like a radar. Radars look around at everything. Any of you ever do that? You chant japa and you're just looking at everything. You know what happens when your eyes move around? Your mind moves around. Did you know that? Did you know the yogis, they just stare at the tip of their nose? Because you can concentrate when you're not looking at things. When you start looking, it distracts your mind. So you can close your eyes, but sometimes you fall asleep. That's radar japa. This is audio japa. You put on a kirtan and then you chant. So Prabhupada said, either do kirtan, listen to kirtan, or chant, but don't do both, because they're two different things. Yeah, it's kind of like dancing and eating, sit down and eat or get up and dance, but don't do both at the same time. Like we're talking about reading and chanting, you do one or the other. So listen to kirtan, but don't make that your background for japa. If you want to listen to something during japa, you can listen to, you know about this, Adidev, the Shanai recording? There's a recording, yes, Prabhupada. When I was in Mayapur in 1975, there were several Shanai players and tapa player would come to Mayapur and they would play live and it would be broadcast. And Prabhupada said that's auspicious for japa.
Oh.
Yeah, he played it live. Yeah, then then someone recorded them and then we play those in our temples. Said it creates an auspicious atmosphere, but it doesn't distract, it supports the chanting. Yeah. Okay, what's next? Sightseeing japa. So that's an extension of radar japa. And so you have window shopping japa, radar japa, and sightseeing japa. It just means don't be focused on other things with your eyes when you're chanting. Be focused on your chanting. I mean, if you're chanting in Vrindavan, that's different. You're going around Govardhan, because then you want to focus on those things. This is shopping list. So you're chanting japa and you're going shopping. How's that? Doesn't work. One or the other, right? Apathy japa. Apathy means I don't care. I will do a demonstration of apathy japa. This is what apathy japa looks like. And this is what it sounds like. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So I'm going to translate that into English. The Maha Mantra means, Krishna, I want to serve you. Right? Isn't that what it means? Krishna, please engage me in your service. So now I'm going to say, Krishna, please engage me in your service the way I just chanted. And it sounds like this. Krishna, please engage me in your service. Doesn't work, right? If you wanted to be engaged in Krishna's service, you would say, Krishna, please engage me in your service. So for chanting and apathy, it's a contradiction. Because I'm asking for service, but I'm not asking for service. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Please give me service. If someone said to you, can I help you? You want me to do something? You'd probably say, no, thank you. Because you think they're not serious. Yeah. So apathy means you don't care. And when you care, when all of you, if you care about your spiritual life, then you'll care about your japa. They go together. If you don't care about your spiritual life, you'll tend not to care about your japa. If you care about your spiritual life, you'll tend to care more about your japa. So if somebody says, I don't care much about my japa, they're also saying, I don't care much about my sadhana, about my spiritual life. And if someone says, I care about my japa, it probably means they care more about their spiritual life. So that's important to understand. Okay. How many more do we have? Oh my God. Oh, that's it. We finished. We finished the list of 32 ways not to chant. Okay, now you know how not to chant. We need to talk about how to chant, right? So I have to go back to my PowerPoint so I can find the next slide. I have many slides. Okay. Wait a moment. Okay, this is okay. I'm going to go to this slide. So this is this slide. I have to share this. Okay, we're ready to share. This is a picture of a plug and a picture of the world, and the world is plugged in. And this is an example of us, our life. So the world represents our life. And our life is, as we're saying, all these things we have to do, things that we worry about, things that we think about, which are nice, some things are not nice. It's our plans, it's our to-do list, it's everything in our mind, that's our world. So you see that plug? This is what you do with it when you start chanting. Well, no, oh yeah, this is good. So you see the examples here, right? Family, service, to-do list, work, problems, it can be school, worries, plans. This is, you can't chant if you're thinking about these things. So, look, what do? We unplug them. And you can chant. So I want to explain what unplugging means. I think you understand that when you chant, you want to be thinking of Krishna, you want to be praying to Krishna. But it's really difficult to do that if you have all these things plugged in, because it occupies your mind and it occupies your heart, right? And so it gets in the way of our chanting. Just like, let's say you invite a friend over to your house to play, to have lunch, to talk. And they're talking to you, but you're thinking about your family, you're thinking about your service, you're thinking what you have to do, you're thinking about plans you're making for the future, you're thinking about all the things that bother you, you're thinking about all your problems. So they're talking to you, but you're thinking about all these things. And if you are, you're not really listening to them. So I have a question for all of you. How do you feel? This ever happened to you? Like you're talking to somebody, but they're not listening to you? They're distracted. Did it ever happen to you? You're not listening to me. Yeah. And you know how bad it feels. You know what it feels like when you're talking to someone and they completely ignore you. They're looking at you like they're listening, but they're thinking of other things. They didn't hear anything you said. And then they'll say, what did you say? What did you just say? I've been talking to you for 5 minutes. You didn't listen to anything. It's very frustrating, isn't it? So, when we're chanting Japa, Krishna is coming to us in his holy name. And if we are not unplugged, we won't be able to listen to Krishna, right? We won't be able to fully let Krishna into our heart when we chant because we're plugged. Okay, we're plugged in. You have to plug out, unplug. So now there's a problem. The plugs have legs and they start to go back. And so you're going to have to unplug. Okay. So this is the first thing we want to do. We want to unplug. That's the first thing. That's most important. What I've been teaching Japa since about 18 years now. And the number one problem, as you probably understand, the number one problem devotees tell me is that when I chant, I can't control my mind. That's the number one problem. Everybody says that. Unplugging from your life is by far the easiest solution to this problem. So what I'd want you to write down and make note of, just write the word unplug somewhere. I want you to remember this. This is what I've told you so far. When I chant and unplug. I want you to remember this when you begin chanting, before you start chanting. All right? So before you start chanting, you're thinking, okay, now I'm chanting. I'm just going to chant. That's what I'm supposed to do. I'm not going to do anything else. And before I begin, I have to unplug. So I have to make a space for chanting. So nothing's going to go on now. Do you realize you unplug all the time? Like if you go out and play and you're just focused on playing, the rest of your world doesn't exist. It's just you and your friends playing, right? So you've unplugged from everything else. If you do your homework, to do it properly, you have to unplug from everything else, right? Otherwise, you won't do well in school if you can't focus. So if you ever watch a movie, you've unplugged from everything else in your life and you're just watching the movie. And you forget, your whole life you forget, especially if you go into a movie theater. You forget everything, right? And now you're in the movie. So you've unplugged from everything in your life except the movie. We all do this all the time. So we need to do the same thing when we chant. It's like walking into the movie theater of the holy name. Now I'm in the movie theater of Japa, I'm just going to chant. There's nothing else. My life, I left behind me. You know, you go to a movie, you leave your life for 2 hours, hour and a half, 2 hours, 3 hours, and then you come out of the theater, or after you watch it online, you go back into your life again. You just left your life. So Japa is like that. We leave our life, we go into Krishna's life. So when I chant and unplug. This will make it very easy for you to chant. But when you're chanting, if you're thinking about all the things going on in your life, it's going to be really difficult to properly chant. So this is something I'd like you to remember. When you chant, when you first begin chanting, you should think this way. Okay. Okay, so now we can go to the next point. Are you ready for the next point? You still awake, paying attention? Adi Dev, do we need to take a break in the middle? Or
you can
take a break?
Prabhu, you can take a few questions if any questions are there for 5 minutes, and then we can continue.
Okay. Why don't you go through the questions and you can just tell me.
Okay, fine. All right, kids, if you have questions, you can either raise your hand or type your questions in the chat.
And if you already wrote a question, write it again.
Yeah.
Living zombie. Vihan says it's living zombie japa. That's a good one. I'll add that. Now we have 33. Well,
33.
The robot is kind of, yeah, living zombie japa. Okay, I'm going to write that down. Hare Krishna.
Okay. Adhyanta has a question. Okay, you can switch on your video.
Okay.
Rajesh is asking, how can I chant with full heart and mind in chanting?
Yeah. Well, it's actually easy in theory. In practice, it may be more difficult. I have to write this down. I like this one. Living zombie japa. Yeah. The Bhagavatam says, if you're not a devotee, you're a dead body, even though you're breathing. So, in other words, the Bhagavatam is saying you're a living zombie, even if you're not a devotee. Zombie is someone who's dead, but walks around. 1 second. This pen didn't work. This pen. Oh. Okay. So here's the problem. The problem with many, many things is we're doing something, but we don't understand what we're doing. We don't understand why we're doing it. I have a story for you. It's a beautiful story. So in Europe, I'm not sure when. I'm assuming this took place hundreds of years ago. In Europe, they build these beautiful churches, like temples. They call them cathedral. They're really big, like a big temple or a big mosque. And they build them out of brick. So it's a huge job. They're so big. So it could take 10 years to build. The temple in Mayapur, how long it takes. When you build something that big, it takes a long time. But sometimes I've heard stories where they've spent like 50 years building something. How long did it take to build the Taj Mahal? Do you know? Anybody know? We have anyone out there who knows all the facts and figures about everything? Or someone will find out. But
Yeah,
so they're
kind of.
So anyway, this cathedral is being built. This is huge, huge building, huge church. And some man didn't know what they were building because there was no way to know. It hadn't built enough. And so he asked one of the bricklayers, "What are you doing?" And the bricklayer said, "Oh, it took 20 years. See, it took 20 years to build Taj Mahal. So it's a very slow process." So the bricklayers, he's being asked, "What are you doing?" And the bricklayer said, "I'm laying bricks all day, till one brick on top of another brick, little cement, another brick, another brick. It's kind of like Lego. It's like doing Lego 8 hours a day for the rest of your life. Just one brick, another brick, another brick, another brick. 20,000 workers. Oh my God. That's crazy. So this bricklayer told the person, "I'm just laying bricks and it's really boring. This is one brick after another. This is all I do all day. Put a brick on, another, put a little cement, another brick, little cement. It's just monotonous. Same thing over and over and over again." And then he went to another bricklayer and he said, "What are you doing?" And the bricklayer said, "I am building this amazing cathedral. I'm a bricklayer who's contributing to the building of, this is going to be one of the most beautiful buildings in the world. And this is going to inspire people who come in, it'll inspire their devotion to God. And it's going to even inspire people who don't believe in God to believe in God." So he was really, really excited about it. Really, really inspired by the vision of what this is going to be. So when he was laying the bricks, he was seeing with each brick, he was seeing in his mind the cathedral manifesting. So he was very inspired. So how does this relate to japa? Well, let's say in this analogy, each brick is like one mantra. So I say to one of you, I say, okay, Sharat. I say to Sharat, what are you doing? And he says, I don't know if Sharat feels this way, but Sharat, we'll use an example. We'll make believe that Sharat said, I'm just chanting one mantra after another. Oh, it's so boring. Just one mantra and another mantra. It's the same mantra over and over and over again. Oh, it's so boring. And then we ask Sri Ram and say, what are you doing? And I'm just using you as an example, not necessary. And Sri Ram says, I am working on my relationship with Krishna. With each mantra, I'm coming closer to Krishna. I'm repairing a broken relationship. I am opening my heart to Krishna. I am praying to Krishna. My relationship with every mantra is getting better. That's what I'm doing. Okay, so you understand they're both doing the same thing externally, right? But one is connected to what the Maha Mantra means, and one is not connected to what it means. So if you're not connected to what it means, then you'll just chant like it's just a ritual, right? It's just, this is what I'm supposed to do, and I do it. I don't have feeling. I don't really understand deeply what it means, and I'm just doing it. But when I realize this is Krishna and I'm connecting to Krishna, then it's completely different. I am, sometimes you might think when you chant, say, well, I'm just chanting, I'm wasting time. It's not productive. I could be doing something else productive. I could be doing something practical. I could be getting something done. And now I'm just chanting. That was a half hour. I needed that time to do my homework. And I just chanted. Sometimes we might feel like that. Have you ever felt like that? It's just like, I'm not doing anything. It's just like, I have so many things to do and I'm chanting and I'm not doing anything. Actually, here's the thought. You may want to write this down because this is a beautiful thought. When you're chanting, you're working on your relationship with Krishna. That's what you're doing. And what could be more important than working on your relationship with Krishna? Nothing. That's why we as human beings are alive to work on our relationship with Krishna. And everything else we do in our life is just to maintain ourselves so that we can work on our relationship with Krishna, right? So chanting is the most important because it helps us with the most important thing, reconnecting with Krishna. So if anyone ever says chanting is a waste of time, you say no. When I'm chanting, I'm working on my relationship with God. That's the most important thing. So I think a lot of the questions you're asking, like how do I get a taste, how not to be bored, a lot of it comes from understanding the meaning of the holy name. And then when you chant, connect. Connecting with that meaning. So right now, I think what would really be a good idea is if I teach you some of the meanings of the holy name and explain them to you. And then when you chant, you can try to connect with these meanings. I think that's a good idea right now, because I think if I do this, it'll answer a lot of your questions, maybe all of them, of how to become more attracted to Krishna when I chant. So all of you probably know that Prabhupada gave a translation to the holy name. Please, O Radha, O Krishna, please engage me in your service. Right? Please So what does that mean? Well, it means that please put me in the mood and purify my heart so that I want to serve you. Please help me increase my desire to serve you. I want to be pure. I want to be a pure servant. I'm asking you, please help me become pure. Please keep me pure. Help me become pure. Keep me pure. And Prabhupada said, it also means, please protect me from Maya. So why do we need to be protected from Maya? Because we like Maya. That's why. And you know there's things that we like that are not always good for us, right? There's foods we like. It's kind of strange, but some of our favorite foods are not healthy. So we like something and it's not good for us. So sometimes we have to pray to Kṛṣṇa, please help me so I don't do something which is not good for me. Like sometimes maybe you have homework, but instead of doing homework, you watch a movie. Anyone ever done that before? Or you do something else other than your homework? Because we're weak. So Kṛṣṇa, please help me not give in to my weakness, whatever that weakness is. So please engage me in your service also means please protect me from Maya. And so now, think about that for a minute. When you're chanting, if you really, really wanted to come closer to Kṛṣṇa and be a better servant, if you really wanted that, and you really wanted not to give in to anything that was not good for you, anything that could take you away from Kṛṣṇa, how would you chant? How would your chanting be different? You wouldn't chant like this. Hare Kṛṣṇa, Hare Kṛṣṇa, Kṛṣṇa Kṛṣṇa, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. No, you chant more like Hare Kṛṣṇa, Hare Kṛṣṇa, Kṛṣṇa Kṛṣṇa, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Wouldn't you? Because you're connecting with what the Maha Mantra means. Now, do all of us need protection from Maya? Yes. The Maha Mantra, it also means Kṛṣṇa help me. Do we all need help? Yes. Kṛṣṇa help me become a better devotee. Please help me become closer to you. Please protect me from Maya. That's what it means. Now, here's the problem. The problem is we could chant the Maha Mantra without that mood, without that desire. And then we're just chanting. But we're disconnected. It's like I say, I love you, but I don't mean it. Has anyone ever said something to you and you knew they didn't mean it? You could just tell they didn't mean it. Oh, Adidev Giridhari, you are amazing. You are so intelligent. You are so handsome. You are so talented. And Adidev's thinking, he's going to ask me for a donation now. Right? He doesn't mean it. He's going to ask me for something. He's going to ask me to donate his car to me. He's going to ask me for my car. He's going to ask for something. So he's saying something, but he doesn't mean it. So when we're chanting the holy name, we're saying, Kṛṣṇa, please help me become closer to you. Krishna, please protect me from Maya. When we chant, we're supposed to say it as if we actually mean it. Of course, we can chant, even if we don't mean it, we can chant, and it gradually, we hopefully will mean it, will become purified. But when you chant, you actually feel that. You try to feel that. Oh, Krishna, I'm separated from you. I want to come closer to you. That's what the Maha Mantra means. Krishna, I'm far from you. Help me become closer. Krishna, I've turned away from you. Please help me turn around. This is our position. We're here, Krishna's here, then we turn around and we went that way. And we have such a strong desire to go that way. We're chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna. To try to turn around. Krishna, help me turn around. I'm so weak. Help me turn around so I can come back and move towards you. Because there's resistance to move towards you. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. And then Maya comes and pushes us away. You ever experienced that? And then we chant Hare Krishna, come closer, right? So if the Maha Mantra means Krishna, please help me become pure, then we want to be able to feel what it means. We want to chant with that feeling. And when you do that, so many difficulties in chanting will go away. And I think this is one of the biggest problems. In life in general, it's a problem. All right, more questions. You want to pick up some more questions that I didn't really answer? You're muted.
Sorry. Yeah. Is it okay to chant without saying the mantra out loud?
Prabhupada said, it's okay, but not for us. It's for very advanced devotees. Or maybe when you become very advanced, you can do it.
Then I sometimes do japa while walking.
Yeah.
Is that wrong?
No.
Okay.
Prabhupada did also.
Yeah.
What is wrong is to do japa in any way, at any place that distracts you. And what's right is to do japa in any way, in any place that helps you. That's a general rule. So don't think of it as like, is this right or is this wrong? Think of it more like, does this help my chanting or does this hurt my chanting? Because for some people, walking helps them, and for other people, walking distracts them. So you have to see what's actually helping you. And maybe you need to stand up because you're tired. You need to walk because you're restless. That's okay, as long as that is it better, maybe you think, if I sit, I'll fall asleep. Okay, so it's better you stand up in that situation. So don't think of chanting as a ritual. Think of it as a relationship, right? So in a relationship, it's not like you have formulas to please people, because people have personal desires. You want to know the person and then know what pleases them, right? So it's not the technique. That's really your motive, your desire. That's most important, your bhakti. You chant with bhakti, that's everything, right? So you could chant externally perfectly, but the real perfection is your devotion. So I was going to say another meaning of the holy name. This is a beautiful meaning, is Krishna, please accept me. So we turned away from Krishna, and we're chanting now, Krishna, I turned away from you. Please accept me back into a relationship. Right? Just like if you're a teenager and you ran away from home, you just one night, you're 18 or whatever the law is. Well, I guess you could do it at any age in a sense. But so let's say 18, you just left home. And then you came back 3 years later, your life was difficult, it didn't work. And so you had turned your back on your parents. Now you come back home. And what will you say? Please accept me back. Will you accept me? And they don't have to. Of course they will, but they don't have to. You left them. So Krishna doesn't have to accept them back. And the parents couldn't say, they could say, well, you don't deserve it because you left us. And Krishna could say that also. You don't deserve it because you left me. But he doesn't say that. So the Maha Mantra means, Krishna, please accept me. I think we should chant one round together. With these two moods, Krishna, please engage me in your service, protect me from Maya, and accept me in a relationship. I think we should try that. And before we try that, I want to explain one more thing. It's very important. And that's when we try to chant now in this mood, what we want to do is feel it, not think it. So like, Krishna, I want to be pure. I want to engage in pure service. I want to be protected from Maya. I'll ask all of you, when you're chanting through the Maha Mantra, express that desire. But to express it, you're going to need to feel it. So meditate a little bit about how much you need Krishna, how much you need help, how much you need protection, and how much you want Krishna to accept you back in the relationship. And when you feel that, start chanting, and through the Maha Mantra, you express that desire. So the desire is not coming from your head, it's coming from your heart, expressed through the vehicle of the holy name. That's how you express it. So let's try to chant. We could chant a round together and see. I want to see if that helps you.
Yeah.
Okay. Govinda. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna.
So, Prabhu, can we just tell one more time, everybody, to get their consent?
Yeah. So we're going to chant. We're going to pray. Krishna, please engage me in your pure devotional service. Krishna, please protect me from Maya. Krishna, please help me overcome any obstacle. Whatever I need help with, Krishna, I'm praying, help me, protect me, uplift me, purify me. That's the general meaning of the Maha Mantra. And then also, please accept me. Please accept me as your servant, as your devotee. Accept me, bless me. Accept me back, like you would ask your parents to accept you back. And we're going to chant with those feelings. And those feelings will be expressed through the Maha Mantra. Is that clear?
Yeah. Prabhu, should they all unmute themselves and chant, or?
I think we could stay muted.
Okay.
You can unmute, and then you can adjust the level individually. It's going to be kind of loud. All right, let's unmute, and then you can all adjust your volume if you prefer it to be more quiet.
Yeah.
Sure.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. I have a doubt. Radha. I have a doubt. Have a doubt.
Now please chant. Hare Krishna.
Krishna Hare Ram 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare Ram 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 Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Ram Ram Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Ram Ram Hare Krishna
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Ram, Ram Hare 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 Ram, Ram Ram Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare Ram Ram Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Ram Ram Ram
Ram Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Ram 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 Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Ram Ram Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Ram Ram Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Ram Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Ram Hare Krishna
Krishna Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Krishna Hare Hare Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare
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 Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Ram
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Ram 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 Hare Hare Hare
Hare
Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Hare
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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna
Hare Krishna
Krishna
Krishna Krishna Hare
Hare
Ram
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare
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 Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram
Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare Hare
Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Ram Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram 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 Ram
Hare
Hare
Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna Ram Hare Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Ram Ram Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Ram Hare
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare
Krishna 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 Hare
Ram Ram Hare Hare
Ram
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare
Hare
Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Hare Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Ram 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna
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 Hare
Krishna Hare
Ram
Ram
Hare Hare
Hare Ram
Hare
Ram
Krishna
Hare
Krishna Krishna Krishna
Hare
Hare Hare
Krishna
Ram
Hare
Ram
Krishna
Ram Hare Hare Hare
Hare
Krishna
Ram Hare
Krishna
Ram
Krishna
Ram
Hare
Ram
Hare
Hare
Ram Ram
Hare
Ram Hare
Krishna
Hare
Hare Krishna
Hare
Krishna
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 Hare
Krishna
Hare Ram Hare Ram
Ram Ram
Ram
Hare
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 Krishna
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
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 Hare
Krishna
Hare
Hare Hare Ram Ram
Hare Krishna
Hare
Krishna Krishna
Krishna
Hare
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 Ram
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 Hare
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 Krishna
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
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 Hare
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 Ram Ram
Hare
Ram
Ram
Hare
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 Ram
Hare Krishna Hare
Hare
Krishna Krishna
Ram
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Ram Ram Ram
Hare
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 Krishna
Hare Krishna Hare Ram Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna
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 Hare Ram Ram
Ram
Ram
Hare
Hare
Ram
Hare
Ram
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Hare
Ram
Krishna
Ram Hare Hare
Hare
Hare Krishna
Hare
Hare
Ram
Ram Ram
Ram
Ram Hare Hare Hare
Hare
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
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 Hare
Krishna
Ram Ram
Hare
Ram Hare Hare
Ram
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Ram
Hare Ram
Krishna
Ram
Krishna
Ram Hare
Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna
Ram
Hare
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 Ram
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 Ram Ram
Hare
Ram Hare
Krishna Hare Krishna Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Ram 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 Hare Hare
Ram
Krishna
Hare Ram
Krishna
Ram
Krishna Hare
Hare
Ram Ram Ram
Krishna
Hare Hare
Hare Ram
Krishna
Ram
Krishna
Hare
Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare
Ram
Krishna
Ram
Krishna
Hare
Ram
Hare
Ram
Krishna
Ram
Hare
Hare
Krishna Krishna
Hare Krishna Hare
Krishna
Krishna Hare
Hare
Ram
Krishna
Ram
Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna
Ram
Hare
Ram
Ram
Hare
Ram
Krishna Krishna
Hare
Hare Ram 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 Hare
Krishna Krishna Hare
Hare Ram 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 Hare
Krishna Krishna Hare
Krishna Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare
Hare
Krishna
Ram
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Ram
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 Hare
Ram
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna
Hare
Krishna
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 Hare
Hare Ram Ram
Ram Hare
Hare
Ram
Krishna
Ram
Krishna
Hare
Krishna Hare
Krishna
Ram Ram
Hare
Ram
Krishna
Hare
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 Hare Ram
Hare
Hare
Ram
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 Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare
Krishna Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
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 Hare Ram
Hare
Ram Ram Hare
Hare Ram
Hare Krishna
Hare
Krishna Hare Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare
Prabhu, you're on mute, Prabhu. You're muted.
Well, so all of you can stop chanting now. And in the chat box, I'd like you to share your experience. Was it good? Was it difficult? Was it easy? Was it challenging? What problem you had? What well, whatever you want to share. And you can all read the chat. I'll read the chat box. Good, refreshing, nice, perfect. That's good. Static. Refreshing. Bit difficult. Oh, yeah. So we have some. Yeah, some will find it easier, and some it will take time, practice. It was different from the normal way I chant in a good way. Yeah, I'd like to hear that. Very easy, blissful, good, better than before, blissful, good. Yeah, it's a different way of chanting. It's more of a chanting from the heart. I started crying while I was chanting. That's good. You're feeling separation. Okay. All right, that's good. Thank you for sharing. I want to a motion towards Krishna. If you have a doubt, then you can express it. And then Giridhari, Adidev Giridhari can, Prabhu can look to see what questions we have. Try to connect with the points we discussed. That's good. Okay. Thank you for that.
So, Prabhu, do we take questions or are we continuing?
I want to find one slide, then we can take some questions. Okay. Most of the questions would be answered anyway.
Okay.
But if I can find this slide, I mean, I can explain it without the slide. It was, yeah. So there was a Prabhupada spiritual master. He said that the chanting is heart deep, it's not lip deep. And he meant that what we were saying before, you can say something you don't mean, but that's not real chanting. So when it comes from the heart, Krishna, please, I want to engage in your service, please help me. That's real chanting. So he explained that the holy name is coming down from the spiritual world. And then we get it from Srila Prabhupada, and it goes into our ear. And before, the proper way to chant is, you receive the holy name and it goes to your heart. And then it goes to your tongue. So your heart is moving your tongue, rather than coming into our ear and going straight to our mouth and bypassing the heart. And then it becomes, that's how it becomes mechanical. So when you chant, if that chanting, if you are coming, if your chanting is generated from your heart, that you want to be better in Krishna consciousness, that's real chanting. But if it's just you hear and you just chant and you bypass the heart, then you come to this mechanical type chanting. And so, as we could see from chanting now, most of you had a good experience. So when you come from your heart, that's the deepest kind of chanting. All right, so we'll take some more questions. Oh, you're also muted.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, bro. Sometimes when I chant, I tell my mind not to think about anything. But the more I tell it to be quiet, the more it starts to think about something. How do I come out of this, Prabhuji?
Yeah. There's a funny story. This one sadhu, he said to a disciple, every morning when you get up to meditate, before you meditate, don't think of a broom. And the disciple thought, well, that's not a problem because I never think of a broom. So the next morning before he sat down to meditate, what do you think he thought of? a broom, because you're not supposed to think of a broom. And if I think I'm not supposed to think of a broom, that means I'm thinking of the broom I'm not supposed to think about, right? So we're either going to chant like you're saying in our mind, or we're going to chant in our heart. So the heart is where we're praying, Krishna, please, and then whatever it is you're asking Krishna for. Krishna, please help me with this, or help me with that. If you chant that way, you won't have a problem with your mind, because your mind will calm down when your emotions get stronger. When your emotions get weaker, your mind will get stronger. So a lot of that mind thinking and distraction only really happens where we're chanting and we're not coming from our heart. So you can experiment with this. Krishna, please. There's a beautiful, beautiful one that by one of our great acharyas. He said, Krishna, please bring my heart closer to your heart. That was his meditation when he was chanting. Please bring my heart closer to your heart. So you can imagine praying like that when you're chanting, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Please bring my heart closer to yours. If you're feeling that, Krishna, please accept me. I turn my back on you. I want to turn towards you. Don't push me away. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. There's a lot of emotion there. And when that emotion is there, you won't have to worry about your mind. Your mind will not be a problem.
Another question is, should we think of Krishna and his pastimes while chanting, or should we just focus on the sound? I think she also asked, can we look at Krishna's photo and chant?
Mm-hmm.
Or
Yeah,
should
definitely,
we think about?
definitely you can look at the photo. The question about thinking of Krishna's pastimes when we chant, it's interesting. Because the holy name is Krishna. So one sense you could say, how could you not be thinking about Krishna and his pastimes when you chant? Because that's the holy name is Krishna. One devotee was giving a talk and Prabhupada was in the room, or he was talking to Prabhupada. And he said, Krishna is inside the holy name. Prabhupada said, where inside is he? He said, Krishna is the holy name. He's not inside the name. So we have this phrasing, Nama, Rupa, Guna, Lila, right? First you chant the name, and then while chanting, the form will come, and then the qualities, the guna, and then the lila will come, the pastimes. They're already there in the holy name. We just don't realize. We don't realize Krishna's there fully. But when you realize Krishna is there, if Krishna is there, then wherever Krishna is, he's doing something. There are the pastimes. So Prabhupada said that it should be something natural, that you're naturally thinking of the pastimes. So if you're chanting and it's natural, yes, the answer is yes. If you have to force your mind, think of the pastimes, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, not like that. Then just focus on the mantra, because the pastimes are already there, and then naturally they'll manifest more and more. So it should be something natural. That was Prabhupada's answer.
Before starting Japa, what should we recite to focus on concentrating on the Japa?
Yeah. Anything that will help you. But I think the most helpful thing is just to remember what you're doing, to remember what the Maha Mantra means. And as we discussed already, one of the biggest problems is I'm laying the bricks, but I don't know I'm laying the bricks of my relationship with Krishna. I think I'm just chanting a mantra like a robot. So that's important to make that connection before we chant. And then again, to unplug your life, make sure you're now only going to chant. You're focused on chanting. And yeah, those two things, and anything that you feel would help you. Yeah.
Okay.
So here's a question to say, we're getting distracted when I chant. Number one, are you in a situation where you're distracted, where you're chanting? And you're around things and people that are distracting, you should be away from that. But number two is, when you chant, you kind of want to go into a cave. You know how the sadhus, they used to chant in caves or bhajan kutirs, right? And have you heard the story of Gorkishore Das Babaji? People were always coming to him, sadhu, sadhu, give me your blessings. And he wanted to focus on chanting, and all these people were bothering him. So he found some toilet in some field somewhere. And he went inside the toilet, locked the door, and said, I don't want to be bothered by anybody. He just wanted to focus. So we have, this concept of bhajan kutirs. Sometimes you'll go on Purkram and you'll, this is the cave of Raghava Pandit. And you'll walk down, it's at Govardhan, you walk down inside. It's like a tunnel into a cavern underground. They would chant to not be disturbed. So that you want to remove any external distraction, but you want to remove internal distraction. And removing internal distraction, you have to remind yourself, this is a conversation with Krishna, and I have to be present for this conversation. I have to be present to the holy name. That's my love for Krishna, to be present when I chant. Just as we were talking about, if you're speaking to someone and they're not listening. So how does Krishna feel? We're chanting, but we're not listening. So it's really not an external technique. It's more of an internal technique, realizing when I chant, this is the proper way to do it. It's to make space just for this time where I'm just going to chant. That's the proper way to do it.
How can we be assured sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
How can we be assured that Krishna is listening or will listen to our prayers?
You have doubts? Oh, you can be assured if you're sincere. If you're not sincere, then, if you don't really mean it, then it's not going to communicate. If I say something to you and I don't really mean it, I'll say, let's meet today at 12 and we'll have prasadam. But the way I'm saying it, you feel like, I don't really care if I meet you. How are you going to respond? You'll just say, well, I'm busy. Even you're not busy. Just say, I don't want to be with him. He doesn't really mean it. He's just saying that. So if we're chanting, you ask yourself a very good question. Ask yourself, what am I communicating to Krishna when I chant? This is a really good question. And if you're communicating your desire to be a better devotee, he'll hear it. But you may be communicating, oh, Krishna, I just want to finish my rounds. Krishna, oh, I don't like chanting. Oh, Krishna, whatever it is you're communicating, then Krishna will reciprocate. Krishna will always hear you, but he may hear your desires that are not good for you. So when you're chanting, you're communicating. So my question to you is, what are you communicating? What do you want to communicate? What will you communicate? All right, what else?
This is a long question, Prabhu. When we are in my school, we have a time which is called as transcendental meditation. Wow. They ask us to close our eyes and meditate on a mantra assigned by a teacher. But I instead meditate on the Hare Krishna mantra. Is it okay to count how many times I chanted the mantra using my fingers?
Yeah, good. Maybe you can tell the teacher to give that mantra to everybody. It's more powerful.
Okay, there's one more. So most of them are about distractions, bro. So
yeah. So what I would like to communicate, the best time to chant is as early in the morning as you can. In my experience in trying to improve my japa, there's got to be an internal commitment you make to your chanting. And if you make an internal commitment, you won't be distracted. It's like anything you do. If you're going to do it well, you have to be committed to it. Like I think some of you girls must dance, right? You must study some form of dance, right? If you want to get good at dancing, you have to be committed, right? Or some of you boys, maybe you learn an instrument, tabla, violin, mridanga, harmonium, whatever. If you want to get good at it and you're not committed, then you either won't practice, or when you practice, you'll just fool around. You won't be serious, right? And you look at this, like the story of anyone who is great at what they do, and you will find they practiced every day for hours with focus, right? I think, some of these sitar players, they practice all day, isn't it? It's just, so it's not just for japa, but it's for anything you want to be good at. You have to make space in your life. These hours, I'm going to work on this. I'm not going to work on anything else. Otherwise, you won't get good at it. And if you can do the same thing with japa, then that distraction problem will go away, because you will internally commit that time and your heart and your mind, everything, to chanting. And then it'll be very easy. It's when we don't commit, that's when it's difficult. Because we're not committed, we let our minds just go all over in distractions and do other things and check our phone in between rounds and this and that. That doesn't work. It doesn't work in the material world if you want to succeed at something, to not be focused on it, right? If you want to really be good at something, you have to dedicate yourself to it. So if you can do that, if you understand how important chanting is, then you can do that. I think we need to explain that in especially now in Kali Yuga, other things that we do might be helpful, but not nearly as helpful as chanting. Nothing's more helpful than that. Nothing you can do spiritually. Puja, study, anything. There's nothing that can replace the chanting. It's central to everything we do. So it's really the most important. And you may have heard that sometimes when we do an installation of the deities, the most important mantra is the Hare Krishna mantra. That's the most important mantras of the whole installation. And Jiva Goswami said, when we do deity worship, there should always be chanting of the holy name. That makes it perfect. It makes it complete. So in this age, this is the means. This is the Maha Mantra. has the power for all of us to become completely pure. And you will find in your own life that the more attention and devotion you give to chanting, the better you will feel, the stronger spiritually you'll become, and the happier you'll be. And one devotee was saying, is there any other? Is chanting the only way? It's not the only way, it's just the best way. And other things really support it, like praying and studying and sangha and going on parikrama. It all supports. It all is an aid to improve our chanting. And as your chanting improves, then you become closer and closer to Krishna, closer and closer to love of Krishna. Chanting is what will awaken that love most quickly in the Kali Yuga and most powerfully. So you're never going to really focus on something unless you make it important. So if you got nothing from these last 2 hours, other than the idea that I have to make chanting more important in my life, I think that'll be enough. Because by doing that, automatically, you will make the time, you will connect more deeply with the mantra, and you'll be more focused because it's more important. Everything that we give more importance to is done better, right? So anything you can do in your study, you're listening to classes, just take notice of anything that helps you deepen your connection to the holy name, deepen your understanding of its importance. That will all help you in your focus. Let's say I gave you a pen. I say, could you carry it for me? And you said, sure. And then I say, that pen is made out of solid gold. It's valued at about 10 lakhs of rupees. You're like, oh, I didn't know that. Now you're really careful with that pen. You're not going to lose it. If it was a 20 rupee pen, you might lose it, right? So it's the same with anything. When you place value on it, you take care of it. Sometimes we lose our bead bag. We can't find it. That's not a good sign. That means we don't care. Every time I can't find my bead bag, I think this is not a good sign. I should be taking care of it, like that gold pen. Or if I don't chant my rounds, that's not a good sign. I should be taking care of those rounds. So the best thing you can do is try to understand how important chanting is in bhakti. It's the number one thing. And if you can do so many things well in bhakti, but if you don't do this well, it's going to make a difference in your life. And if you do it well, it'll make a huge positive difference. That's my experience. That's what I see. Mm. 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 So, what should we do here? You want to see another slide?
Yes, we can.
Let me just find one that would.
One mother is asking Prabhu, should parents insist on kids chanting? I mean, basically, I think she's asking if parents should force children to chant.
Parents should inspire children to chant, because, if we're forced to do something, it's good to chant, that's for sure. But if we're forced to do something, it can create a bad taste. And then when the child is older, then they don't want to chant anymore. So I find that We have to be very, very careful. Let's say, for example, I was your teacher and I gave you a homework assignment, and then you came in the next day and some of you didn't do your homework. So I said, okay, your punishment for not doing your homework is you have to sit in the back of the class and chant 4 rounds. So that would stick in your mind that chanting is a punishment. And so as an adult, you're not going to want to chant because you see chanting as something that is meant to cause you distress. It's a punishment, right? So in the same way as parents, you never want to deal with your children in a way that bhakti would be looked at as something that they're forced to do or even as a punishment, but rather you want to inspire them to understand why they should want to do it. Here's a story. This will answer the question, I forgot. I don't know who it was. Maybe it was Albert Einstein. Albert Einstein is very intelligent. It was some very intelligent, well-known person who was very intelligent. And he was trying, one of his cows or calves had left the barn and he was like behind pushing it and the cow isn't moving. And so the lady who takes care of the cows said, you're not doing it right. I'll show you how to do it. I think it was a calf. And so she put her hand in milk. So there's milk all over her hand, and she stuck her hand in the mouth of the calf, and the calf was licking it, and she just walked backwards, and the calf just walked with her into the barn. You've heard that story before, any of you?
It happened today, Prabhu, right? In the evening. There was a calf at our front gate, and it was trying to come into the house through the front door. So we took some bananas and went out, and then literally had to make him walk out of the house.
Oh yeah, is that right? There you go.
Right before the class, it happened.
The message to the parents is either dip your hand in milk or get some bananas. But everything in Krishna consciousness can be very sweet and relishable. But as parents, that's our job, to make it sweet and relishable. So yes, and the greatest inspiration is example. So if you don't like to chant, it's hard to get your kids to chant, right? You tell your children, I want you to eat this sabji, this is really good. But you never eat it because you don't like the way it tastes. They'll say, but you never eat it. So it's hard to teach what you don't do. So the best inspiration is your own example. Ultimately, children have to decide, of course. We want to encourage them, try to do this. I always try to encourage children, as I said in the beginning, because it's going to be much harder for you when you're adults and you realize how important chanting is, and you want to take it up more seriously if you didn't take it up seriously when you were younger, because now you're starting from zero. And if you just try to chant, even if you have to force yourself a little bit, if you just try to chant and maintain some steadiness every day of a certain number, then when you're an adult, you've already done it growing up, it's going to be much easier. If you want to chant 16 as an adult, it's going to be much easier because you've been chanting your whole life anyway. Yeah, let's do, I have a slide for you. This is beautiful. You'll really like this. This is an affirmation. You may have heard this affirmation before. And I want to explain this affirmation, why I wrote this. So I'll read the slide. Before beginning this Japa session, let us affirm that chanting is a precious opportunity to connect with Krishna. Tell yourself, I want to chant, I get to chant, I love to chant. Now, you might be saying, well, what if I don't want to chant? What if I don't love to chant? What if I don't feel like chanting is an opportunity? Maybe I feel like doing something else. Many, many devotees have told me that by saying this, it changed the way they think about chanting. So let me explain what it means. I want to chant. It means I'm not like forced. I actually want to do it. I wanted, and you might say, but sometimes I don't want to do it. I don't feel like it. And I want to chant means that you as a soul wants to, that deep down in your heart, you actually want to do this. Because this is how you connect with Krishna. So in that sense, you want to chant. You as a spiritual being wants to chant. This is what's the best thing for you. And then we have, I get to chant. I get to chant is an appreciation that Krishna, he's so kind that he manifests in his holy name. He comes in his holy name. And he makes it so easy to associate with him. And he empowers the holy name in such a way that if I chant throughout my whole life, I will get Krishna Prema in the mood of the Brajvasis, the residents of Vrindavan. So that's the appreciation. I get to chant. I'm fortunate. There's over 8 billion people in the world today, and we're only talking about a small fraction that are chanting. And so we are part of the small number of people that are chanting, so we feel fortunate. So that's what I get to chant means. And I love to chant means that the soul in its most pure state loves to chant. That's what it loves. So if I say I want to chant, I get to chant, I love to chant, it's just to put myself in that mood. So what I'm thinking, maybe we could say this and then chant one more round. What do you think, Adidev? Is that a plan? Should we do that?
Yes, Prabhu.
So you can all be unmuted, stay muted, but before you begin chanting, just say this. I want to chant, I get to chant, I love to chant. Actually, why don't you just repeat it after me? I want to chant. I get to chant. I love to chant. We could do one more time. I want to chant. I get to chant. I love to chant. Okay. So this will be our last japa session. And as you're chanting, if your intensity slows down, then just recite this mantra again. I want to chant, I get to chant, I love to chant. I will put it in the chat so you have it in case you need it. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Ram. I guess we can unmute everybody if you want to chant together.
Should I unmute everybody, Prabhu?
Yeah. And then you can all control the level yourself. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna.
Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare
Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Ram Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Hare Ram Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Hare Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram
Krishna
Ram,
Krishna Hare 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 Rama
Hare
Rama
Ram, Ram
Rama
Ram, Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna
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 Krishna,
Hare
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 Hare,
Hare Rama
Ram
Rama
Ram
Rama
Ram,
Hare
Hare Hare,
Hare
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 Krishna,
Krishna.
Hare.
Prabhu, you're muted, Prabhu.
Yeah. We have a question I want to take.
Yes.
There's two questions, but the question before, I believe I already answered. Yeah. So this question, it's the last question. Is there any difference in doing one japa with devotion and 64 japa on devotion, just like in a hurry burry? So, yeah. It's a little the answer, I have to qualify it, but the first answer I will give is, what would you rather have? One iPhone that works or 64 iPhones that don't work? I think I know your answer. The 64 that don't work, right? No, you're going to fix them all, right? Okay, so if you fix the 64, that's good. But if they don't work, you'd rather have one that works, right? So Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, if you chant one mantra purely, that's enough. That one mantra purely chanted will give you love of Krishna. So we really want to focus, in the beginning, when you're learning to chant, you really want to focus on quality. Because doing something wrong 16 times, 16 times 108, it's not that helpful. But Prabhupada wanted us eventually to come to the stage of chanting 16 rounds. But he wanted us to chant 16 rounds without offense. And you may know there's a verse that said that if you chant with offense, then you don't get love of Krishna. So if your chanting doesn't produce love of Krishna, ultimately, that means your chanting ultimately was useless in a sense. It's never useless to chant, but the goal of chanting is to get love of Krishna. And so if I chant 64 rounds and I don't get love of Krishna, better I chant 16 and get love of Krishna, right? So we really want to focus on quality. But if you're initiated, of course, you vowed to chant 16, so you must. But when we vow to chant 16, we're not really vowing to chant 16 rounds that aren't good. We're vowing to chant 16 rounds that are good. So that's the answer to that question. One iPhone, yeah. 64 bad. Well, if you're an iPhone repairman, you'll probably take the 64 bad ones. But I don't think any of you are iPhone repairmen. Is it possible to do japa without a single offense? Is it possible for people like me? Oh, this is a really good question. I'm glad you asked this question because this is important. The answer is yes, because Bhaktisiddhanta said, an offense means I know what the offenses are, but I don't try to avoid them. So even though I make an offense, like sometimes I become distracted, but I'm trying to avoid that, then it's not an offense. It's an offense when I don't try to avoid the offense. So one time, a devotee was having trouble controlling his mind while he was chanting, and he said, Prabhupada, I can't control my mind when I'm chanting. Is that an offense? And Prabhupada said, well, are you trying to control your mind, or you're just letting your mind go wild? He said, no, I'm trying to control it. So Prabhupada said, well, if you're trying to control it, it's not an offense. Because you can only try your best, right? So it's not an offense if you're trying. It's an offense if you know what the offenses are and you don't try. That's the offense. Hare is, why is Hare Krishna Mahamantra more important than other mantras? Because Mahaprabhu decided that in the Maha Mantra, he would make it so potent in Kali Yuga that anyone who chanted would get love of Krishna. And they're in the highest love of Krishna, in the mood of the residents of Vrindavan. That's why it's the most powerful. Because no other mantra can give, like the love that the gopis have, no mantra is going to give that. The Maha Mantra can give that. The Maha Mantra that Lord Chaitanya is giving can give you love in the mood of the gopis. Even the Maha Mantras in other ages, even the Maha Mantras in other Kali Yugas, when Mahaprabhu didn't come in the way he has come in this form, couldn't give you love. They could only give you love for Vishnu, not for Krishna. That's why it's so special. And in Kali Yuga, everything becomes auspicious when we chant. And Hare is Radha. That's the meaning. O Radha, Hare, O Radha, O Krishna. Please engage me in your service. Please accept me. Please bring me closer to you. That's the meaning. Okay? So, thank you all for coming. I'm so happy to be here with you. I hope you got something from this that you can use. And if you do use it, you will notice a very good result in your japa. And what I would suggest to all of you in order to help you, if your parents weren't listening, tell your parents what you learned. And any of your friends that are devotees, tell them that weren't here, tell them what you learned. Because by telling them, it's going to help you. It's going to help you a lot if you tell somebody what you learned. Shouldn't we say Sita Ram instead of Radha Krishna? It's a different form. If you want to go to Sita and Rama, Ayodhya, and live with Ram, yes. But if you want to go to Radha and Krishna Vrindavan, then of course you can chant Hare Krishna for Sita Ram as well. It's just recommended in Kali Yuga. Okay, I'm going to go.
Thank you so
Show me
much,
your videos
Prabhu.
now. Let's see what happens if they show. Everybody show your video so I can see you.
Okay. Everybody can switch on their videos.
I might freeze up, but at least I'll get to see you.
And I request everybody to unmute and chant one time Hare Krishna mantra for His Grace Mahatma Prabhu, who kindly set aside these few hours and 2.5 hours and enlightened us with so many wonderful nectarian things about the holy name. So everybody chant Hare
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama,
Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Hare.
I have one I'm going to be in Vrindavan. I'm going to be in Bangalore. I'm going to be in Vrindavan and Mayapur this year, maybe every year. So if you see me, then just come up to me and say, I came to the Japa class for kids that you did in November of 2022 with Adidev Giridhari Das. So I'll remember you. And then you can give me a report how your japa is. And then if it's good, I'll give you a sweet. And if it's bad, I have a toothbrush, a Jagannath's toothbrush.
Prabhuji, what is there in
Knock you in the head with a
November 22?
We want both, Prabhu.
toothbrush.
Prabhuji, what is there in November 22? You say.
Okay, we'll see you. Hare
Prabhu,
Krishna.
can we
I want to
leave?
leave.
Prabhu, thank you so much. Children,
Thank
just
you.
stay.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. It's very good.
Welcome.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Krishna Prabhuji.
Hi, Prabhupada.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna, kids, stay on.
Hare Krishna.
I'm going to share the certificate. Okay, everybody stay. I'm going to share the certificate in the chat. You can download the certificate, this workshop completion certificate. Just 1 minute. Just give me a minute. And tell me if you have got it. You can, yeah, you can print it. It's in a printable format. You can print it. It's already signed, pre-signed. So you can print it and write your name. Okay. And this is for the parents. If you would like to donate to His Grace Mahatma Prabhu, I'm sending Mahatma Prabhu's website address. There is a donate section on top. You can directly, all the bank details are there. You can directly go and donate there. Okay, so I'm going to unmute all of you. And if you have any further questions, I can take those questions. Just 1 minute. Thank you for coming. Athar didn't get, I think if you are on a mobile phone, you may not be able to download it. So Vihan, can you just upload it to Google Drive and then share the link in the chat?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Those who want to leave can leave.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Namit.
Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Standing from the
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Dhanavad.
From
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hey, Upasana is also there. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Tunga Vidya.
Prabhuji, we got disconnected at the, so we did not hear.
Mataji, I just shared the certificate,
Okay.
the workshop completion certificate. So,
What is it, Prabhuji?
1 minute. I will share it again in the chat, Mataji. If you're on
I'm on iPad.
Think maybe you will be able to. Let me see. I'm sharing it in the chat.
Okay.
You should be able to download. Vihan, did you do it?
Just doing it, Prabhuji.
Okay.
I've got the link of the thing.
Prabhu, I got the link. I right now wrote my name in it.
Good.
Ji. Prabhu.
1 minute. I'm just trying to upload the certificate. Yeah. Mataji, yeah. Okay, so both are there. I've again shared the file and Vihan has shared the drive link. So, if you were unable to download directly from the chat, then you can also send me a message on WhatsApp or Telegram and I can share it on the Telegram, on Telegram or WhatsApp also. By email, it will become cumbersome.
Okay. Thank you.
Right. Sindura is saying unable to access the drive. Hey, Haribol, Vihan, you'll have to give universal access. It should be open to everybody. No restrictions. Okay, let me see if I can do that.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, thank you for coming.
Prabhu,
Yes.
32 ways to not chant Japa. I
Yeah.
was noting down everything, Prabhu.
Okay.
I could note on only 29.
Maybe you missed something.
No, Prabhu.
You
I
check
know you
on
will say it's your fault only. I knew it.
No, it's not about the fault. Prabhu has counted. Why will he say 32?
No, Prabhu. After 29, I think directly went to 32 or something. I'm pretty sure.
Okay, you check on YouTube. Anyway, no, the whole recording is going to be.
Oh, yeah.
Sindhura got 30. Sindhura is saying she got 30.
Prabhu, I got 30 as
What
well.
happened is skipping the beat Japa.
One minute, wait. Shubhangi Mataji.
Prabhu, you can Google the link. You'll find all 32.
Shubhangi Mataji is asking how we can donate in INR currency. Mataji, there are bank details. Let me just see if I can open the. So you should be able to. Yeah, just a minute. This is a website, Mahatma Prabhu's website. You can click on donate and it says donate by other means, other ways. So you click on that, it comes, you scroll down, it says donate by sending money to India. It goes to an account named Mona D. Khanna. You can donate here. I have also done through this only. So you can donate there.
Prabhuji, how our name will come there in the certificate?
In the certificate, you'll have to print it and then write your name there.
Okay,
you can print.
Okay, sir.
But if you... Thank you, Vihan.
Prabhuji, my sister is here.
Hey, Haribol!
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Oh, Prabhu, Hare Krishna, Avinash Prabhu. What's happening? Hey, Anshika, you attended the whole workshop. That's very nice.
Yes, Prabhu. Today morning also we.
So you will.
Today morning also we had the session with Amoglila Prabhu.
Ah, yesterday. Oh, today morning.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes.
So double
Please come.
morning and evening.
Yes, Prabhu.
Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you.
Prabhuji. Shambhavi Samruddha, they did a skit today morning. So beautiful. And even I was there, I met Radha Sakhi for the first time.
All right, 1 minute. I'm just going to stop the recording and stop the live streaming also. Hare